Terrika, listen, yesterday was so much fun. I got to cover the New York Liberty and Las Vegas Aces game in person. I was there live in effect.
Excuse me?
And it was a great time because this was the game, at least billed as the game of the day, right? And so you have all the stars in the building. Breanna Stewart, who had herself a game. Yeah. Asia Wilson. These two teams are stacked. It was so much fun. There was so much buzz around it, and it felt like that in the building. But you know what? I'm not going to lie. I had a sneaky feeling that the Liberty would take game one. Like, it was really important for them to make a statement in game one and come out and take it. They're home. They don't want to give up home court advantage. So they were excellent yesterday from start to finish. I think they controlled the game the entire time. Breanna Stewart, Stewie, because some people have been playing with her name. Woo, she had herself a game yesterday. She could not miss. There was nothing Las Vegas could do with her. Yeah. She was amazing. The whole big three, they were all very good. Sabrina kind of really came on in that second half. And then Jonquel Jones, of course. I mean, look at these stats. Stewie, 34 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Jonquel Jones, 12 rebounds, 2 assists. And Sabrina Ionescu chipping in with another 21 points. And she had 5 assists, 4 rebounds. I mean, just really, really great stuff from their big three all around. And there's just so many other players that I could get into. I won't. But I mean, just what were you thinking when you watched this game? Because honestly, Vegas made a few runs, but every time they did, the Liberty just shut that down.
I looked up, and as they were getting ready to go into halftime, and I saw Breanna Stewart had 20 points at the half, and I said, she got 20 before the half? Yeah. Like, we still got another 20 minutes of basketball to play, and she's already Stewie, we are sorry if we ever played in your face, because clearly, clearly, we know. But no, in all seriousness, to your point, I absolutely knew that the Liberty were going to come out on a different mindset, with a different approach in this matchup, because it was something that I felt that we had been building up to this entire time. They have said more and more as we got closer to this postseason that there's unfinished business. Yep. They recognize that there was a missed opportunity, and they don't want to make that make that mistake a second time around. So it felt like this absolutely was a statement game. But check out this stat, right? Historically, the team that wins game one wins the series 77% of the time in the WNBA. And as of today, that stat line is 27-8. So of the 35 times this has happened, the game one winner has won 27 times. That's a scary thought, because it is a lot from my perspective to overcome if the Aces come out on Tuesday and give the same kind of performance that they gave on yesterday. It can't just be Asia, and it can't just be KP. It's certainly going to take a little bit more from a few additional players. But as it relates to the Liberty, I feel like they came out making a statement. They came out ready to punch anybody in the mouth who they had to face. Just so happened to be Las Vegas this time. And I knew that just from what we had seen coming into this particular series, and just, I don't really always like to base what happens in the regular season based on what will happen in the postseason, because teams are different by the time you get to the postseason, right? It's not what you did in a regular season. It's kind of like a clean slate. Like, it feels a million years ago, but there was definitely some similarities. Mm-hmm. Like, the Aces had, unfortunately, been swept by the Liberty in this season in the regular series. At some point in that regular season series, New York had a 16-point lead at least in every single game, despite the final score. So that let me know that at some point in the game, the foot was either off the gas, the defense didn't step up, or something happened in every single one of these games in which New York felt comfortable dominating against Las Vegas. I was hoping to see something different on Sunday. Unfortunately, we didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think the outcome was the same, but I do think it was a little different. I really am not paying that much attention to the regular season series between these teams because, Chelsea Gray out some games. I mean, Benaj Laney wasn't there too, so I don't want to say like New York had all its pieces, but we all know it took Chelsea Gray some time to kind of come back and get settled. So if you are missing your point guard and that point guard happens to be Chelsea Gray, your team is probably not going to like play the same and look the same. And then I thought it was a really good showing for Vegas at the end of the season when they came in and almost won on the Liberty's court without Asia Wilson. So we know that they have the ability to play better. And then also just call it, anyone who knows me, I also cover the NBA, so call it the Warriors fans of me, but like, I just don't ever discount champions. So like that's the same on the NBA side too. You win game one, that usually means you're gonna win the series, but if you're a two-time champion with the best player in the world on your squad, I'm just not counting you out. I agree though that they definitely need to win game two. You don't want to dig yourself into a 2-0 deficit. And Becky Hammon said as much after the game that they need to, it's a must-win game. That's how they're viewing it. And look, the goal when you go on the road, obviously you want to win every game, but when you're starting a series on the road, the goal is to get one. You want to just get one on the opposing team's home court. And they haven't lost that chance yet. So you have to go in to game two. They will make their adjustments. I personally think one of them will be that Kia Stokes is probably not going to see as much minutes. I just don't know if this is the right series for her. But, you know, we'll see. Chelsea Gray, though, you're going to need more from Chelsea Gray. You're going to need more from her. She didn't have a strong game. And Leonie Fibich is a large reason why that is. And she said, Terrika, that she is a perfectionist on defense, and she didn't really think she played that great of defense, and she's receiving all this praise for her defense.
I love that. I really love that.
That's crazy.
That's so crazy. I really love that. But let me clarify. I'm talking about game one. Aces absolutely can still come back in and take this series. But game one is where I expected them to come out a bit differently than they did against the in the regular season, and I didn't see that.
You were surprised by that.
I was surprised. I was surprised by that. So,
I was too.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Definitely not the entire series, because to your point, absolutely, Vegas can turn it on because they've got it like that, right? But game one, I was surprised that they didn't come out with that same fire that I expected. But to the point of Kia Stokes, right? I don't know if she'll receive less time, and here's why. Because from a size perspective, having Kia Stokes in the game makes sense, because you've got to have somebody who can counter Jonquel Jones as much as
it didn't make sense yesterday, girl.
It didn't. But hear me out. From a size perspective, you've got to have somebody who can counter Jonquel Jones. Here's the problem with that. The problem with that is that Kia Stokes has been an offensive liability. And it seems super underselling it to say, well, they just got to score more points, because obviously that's the point of the game, is that you've got to score more points. But it quite literally is what is the issue, is that you're getting all of your offense from Asia. Yesterday, you got your offense from Kelsey. And because Kia Stokes has been an offensive liability, it allows New York to double Asia, because they like, we're not worried about Kia.
But I felt like yesterday she was an offensive and defensive liability.
I mean,
like on both ends. Like she was not helping.
It's Jonquel Jones though, and that's the other thing.
Yeah, but
you can't, like, this is a person who has at least 32 double-doubles on the season. This is a person who quite literally is a former MVP in her own right. It ain't
I hear
easy.
you, but you're not going to ever be able to match their length, right? That's it. That's the way your roster is constructed. So the way that you beat length is going smaller, and it's playing with more pace and it's playing faster. But the thing is, if they're going to do that, they're going to need more than 4 points from Chelsea Gray. And it's not even the 4 points with Chelsea Gray. It's the 1 assist, because that tells me the ball was not moving. If she's not assisting, then that team, if she's not dishing it, the team offense is just, right? It's a problem. And so that stood out to me. Also, we praised Tiffany Hayes in the last series about her contributions off the bench. Only 2 points from Tip yesterday, and those were on free throws, right? So they're going to need more from those two. And you talked about it can't just be Asia, who, like, it was a quiet Asia game.
It really was.
It was a quiet Asia game.
She had 21, but Asia will get you 27 in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I mean, 9 of 16. I mean, it wasn't, it's just not the kind of Asia performance that you're going to need. And like you mentioned, she's not getting the space out there. They're able to crowd her. And you also talked about Kelsey Plum. But the thing about Kelsey, it was Kelsey and Jackie, if you look at the guard play. Kelsey Plum was pretty good yesterday.
Absolutely. Yeah, Kelsey was on it.
But Jackie Young, even though her final stat line was okay, she wasn't as efficient. I didn't love the shot she was taking. She looked a little unsure of herself. So she was 6 of 16 actually on field goals. And so she just didn't have her most effective game yesterday, but it was just really, to me, it was more like the hesitance I saw from Jackie, right? Like she didn't look confident out there. Some of her shots, her feet weren't set. They weren't the best shots. They need the two-way player, Jackie Young, that we know she could be. Like, the thing about it is the Aces almost have to play perfect against the Liberty. The Liberty don't have to play perfect against the Aces. And if anything, that's their advantage. We know the Aces can play better, but they really have to play almost perfect basketball, I think, to beat this Liberty
I think
team.
that's a great way to sum this up as you look at what lies ahead for Tuesday. Because, again, you don't want to oversimplify it, but to the point of every point that you made is simply that you have to have offense, right? Like, the Aces have not been their typical top 3 defensive team that we had seen in the past, to where you can afford to not be as effective on the offensive end, right? You have got to be effective on the offensive end in order to beat the Liberty, because 55 of those points yesterday came between just Stewie and Sabrina alone.
Right.
We're not even counting the 13 that came from Jonquel Jones. And she is one of the reasons that Asia struggled, because, listen, of those 16 shots, 14 of them were contested, because you have Jonquel Jones, who also is an all-defensive player, and again, a former MVP. She understands what it means to attack. This is a totally different Liberty team. They might have similar personnel, but their mindset, their approach, and the physicality that they're bringing is totally different, and I think that is playing to their advantage. The Aces have to find some offense, and they've got to find it from those key players that you mentioned if they want to take game 2. Otherwise, it is going to be a long week for this Las Vegas team.
Yeah, and transition defense has to get better for the Aces, and they need to protect the paint better, because I saw several players being able to get to the rim at will. One of the things, moving downhill for Sabrina Ionescu, that's really improved about her game this year and has really made the Liberty a very lethal team. So we will see. Looking forward to that game 2. I will be there. Looking forward to this series. I know it's easy to look at game 1 and people sort of like, oh, I don't know. I heard people say like, I don't know, the Aces may not win the game.
Nope.
I think both.
Ain't nobody that crazy.
I think both series, honestly, that we watched yesterday, I think we're in for the long haul. I don't think any of them are going less than 4 games. So
yeah, I predicted in 5, each game to go 5. These teams, I can't trust.
Yeah.
I can't trust any team to just lie down. Who would want that anyway? Right.
All righty. So looking forward to the rest of these semifinals. Make sure you guys tune in. We will definitely be.